Janibek stripped of the IBF title for doping violation. You already know I'm on the job, man. Let's go.
Push the weight and no flex. Flex the live is one in the six. With the runner boy, you nigga, no question. You will run a motherfucker high stepping. Hey, you never had a big enough weapon. Motherfucker never learned your lesson. I'm an 88 pack nigga. I'm an 88 pack nigga. I mean, day walker, drink blood, trains out, full moon, motherfucker change like a hoe. I'm just a nigga from the hood trying to stack a little cheddar for the money.
Drew Titan Bronx on deck. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. Well, here we are. I think this is my third time discussing this guy, Janibek, and at this current junction, I don't care to see him ever again. I don't care to see him ever again, but let's get right to it. After Bud Crawford smoked Canelo Alvarez, I read people they had him in the ring with David Benavidez because, of course, they wanted Bud Crawford to take care of the work that Canelo Alvarez refused to take care of. You know, in fact, Canelo Alvarez is on record saying all that David Benavidez has to offer is an additional 20 pounds on fight night. But let me remind you guys, David Benavidez went on to 175. And he had a fight at 175. His first fight at 175 was against a guy named Bostic. And when he rehydrated at 75, he was 3 pounds lighter than what Edgar Berlanga rehydrated to when he fought Canelo Alvarez. And that was at 68. So safe to say that Canelo wanted no smoke, but that's Canelo and y'all don't care. And that's fine. But instead, they had Bud Crawford in the ring with Benavidez. But he said, I'm not going in that direction. But you know whose name they didn't mention? This guy, Janibek. I'm not even going to try and say his first name. It doesn't matter. Because I come from an era where last names mean something. So now every time I hear Janibek, I think of a drug cheat, a southpaw drug cheat. That's what he is. My third video on this crap. And now we have the results. The last time I spoke on it, he made reference to a B sample and don't worry, I'll be vindicated. And the IBF said not so fast. Now the IBF is on some nonsense, but that's something else for Jai Patai. I want to keep this right here. I'm assuming this man's B sample came back dirty because they stripped him. And this is the man that they said, hey, Bud should go back down and wait. Or hang around at 68 and fight Janibek in some way, shape, or form. At 60, 68, they mentioned him getting in the ring with Janibek. And I said, well, what is this fascination with Janibek? Charlos are still out there. An Errol Spence rematch is out there. I kept wondering, what is this fascination with him fighting Janibek? I mean, the guy's undefeated. I guess he's okay. But what is this? Well, I guess I found out. I'm glad Bud retired. Because if you stick around long enough, they're going to try and find a way to get you. And if he was in the works to fight Janibek in any way, shape, or form, I bet you this drug test wouldn't have came out until after the fact. And then we'd have had to been online dealing with, oh, well, Janibek popped dirty, but that's not why Bud got hit. Bud's defense wasn't on point that night. And we have to deal with the tree sloths, big lip raccoons and chimpanzees, and, you know, the hairy backs, the turncoats and raccoons. You already know. It's never these guys cheating. It's never them. It's always something we didn't do in the ring. It's always our fault. We're the victims, but it's our fault. I don't know who else is talking about this but me. So let me read a little bit from Boxing Scene, because I saw this last night, but I like to wait to see who speaks on it. Boxing Scene confirmed that the unbeaten, I guess he's from Kazakhstan, the Kazakh southpaw was stripped of his IBF middleweight title for a previous doping violation. In a ruling distributed on Tuesday, the sanctioning body cited IBF Rule 18 covering drug testing in its justification relief Janibek. They relieved Janibek of his reign. Look at that. Why is I'm not seeing this on YouTube anywhere? And there's a lot of people I don't follow, but I don't tell you guys where to go. But I know y'all follow these others. I'm just curious, are they talking about this? To me, this is big news. Janibek is due to make a mandatory defense of his IBF middleweight title on or before July 4th of 2026. The IBF must notify Janibek, Amlufling for whatever, Amlumnikol Koli, whatever, of his mandatory defense. They're spelling his name different for some reason. Mandatory defense on or around May 4th. IBF Championships Committee Chairman George Martinez outlined in the ruling obtained by Boxing Scene. The penalties imposed by Rule 18 prohibit Janibek from being ranked in the IBF or participating in any IBF sanctioned bout. Wow. For 1 year following his suspension for an anti-doping violation. So he did the crime, which means A sample popped, they went to the B sample, and now we're reading about the punishment. Janibek's suspension by the KPBF is effective as of December 2nd of 2025, and the resulting 1 year period of ineligibility therefore expires on December 2nd of 2026. Accordingly, Janibek is unable to fulfill his mandatory defense obligation on July 4th of 2026. So the times aren't adding up, which is why they're taking the belt. 1 year, y'all. 1 year. Is anyone talking about this? This is serious. You know, he's from Who Gives a F a Stand, and he checks all the marks. You know, he's not American. He has a country behind him, no matter how small it is. He's undefeated. Power puncher. Are they talking about this? March 5th, 2026, the IBF Board of Directors participated in a teleconference to discuss this matter. The majority of the directors determined that in light of the foregoing, the IBF middleweight title should be vacated immediately. So they took it from him. 17 wins, 12 knockouts, no losses. Okay? He was issued a backdated 6-month suspension by the Kazakhstan Professional Boxing Federation. That's the KPBF, by the way. That will run through June 2nd. That date is 6 months from December 2nd, which Janibek was pulled from a planned 3-belt unification class with Landry Lara after testing positive for meldonium. Y'all remember I spoke about that? I said, man, he got to juice up to beat an old Landry Lara. Y'all remember that? I still had people saying, oh, it was a mistake. Why is it that you guys always think it's the system? Y'all always think it's the system. You want to get rid of the system? Because it's the system's fault, right? But when we talk about the mob legitimately being involved with the sport of boxing, you don't want to hear that. But USADA bad. Well, they're not involved in boxing anymore. But VADA's bad. And the state athletic commissions is bad. Everyone's bad. But they're catching these guys cheating. The KPBF caught this guy cheating. They did their jobs. And then when I turn around and ask these clowns, is there cheating in boxing? They'll say yes. Well, how do you expect to catch these guys? There has to be laws and rules in place, and there have to be proper punishments. What are we doing here? He had to cheat to compete against Landry Lara? You got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. And again, I just did a live stream. This is off the heels. I'll put the link in the description. You can read this yourself. I did a live stream, fair using and reviewing Andre Ward's interview with Lisa McClellan. That's Gerald McClellan's sister. For you young cats that don't know, Google the name or go on YouTube and look up the G-Man, Gerald McClellan, and look up what happened to him when he went overseas. And then go watch the interview. Go watch the fight and then watch the interview. And when you're sitting there watching saying, oh, no, Gerald just ran out of gas. And why was his mouth open? And the mouthpiece was out of his mouth. And then you find out, yeah, he may have been pre-concussed before he got to the UK. That's not good. But there were other things in reference to that. But there's a pipe bomb that was in an interview that I heard. And then when I went back and listened to it, that pipe bomb was gone. The pipe bomb was Lisa McClellan was talking to a guy named Kevin, and she asked him, and he was directly involved with the whole situation. She asked him, listen, was Nigel Benn, Conor Benn's father, to you young cats, Conor Benn's father? You know Conor Benn, who popped dirty and was suspended, and he had to fight in America to make a living? And when they said, yo, was you on that crap? He said, no, I ate a lot of eggs. They rolled with that. His father, Nigel Benn, Kevin told Lisa McClellan, yeah, he absolutely was on steroids. Oh, Drew, here you go again. Listen, this happened in 95, before a lot of you were born. I was 20 years old when I watched that fight. I was a full-grown man. But what was strange is, what you don't know is, but she mentioned it, I knew, but she mentions it. He was supposed to go piss so they can test his urine. And after he was pounding on his chest, celebrating the win, and gave a very coherent interview, while Gerald McClellan was slipping into a coma because of brain damage and blood on the brain, and instead of peeing, he went to the back and passed out. So they didn't withdraw urine. But we find out in that interview that they go to the hospital and he's popping bottles of champagne with Don King in the lobby of the hospital while Gerald McClellan is upstairs getting brain surgery that his family didn't okay. Don King okayed it. And now he's celebrating with the winner. Now, he managed both fighters. But why are you okaying surgery, number one? And number two, why are you popping bottles instead of praying? But the pipe bomb was, why didn't Nigel Benn take his urine test right there at the hospital? Between him, when he passed out, I know he woke up. You woke up to champagne, brother? And I use that term, brother, loosely. Why didn't you go pee? So he was never drug tested after that fight. He tells Lisa McClellan years later, I'm sorry. And she was like, well, you know, what was he sorry for? Then she hears, oh, he tried to commit suicide. That's cap. I don't believe it. What y'all don't know is that Nigel Benn ran with a bunch of gangsters called the Essex Boys. Google it. And Google Nigel Benn's relationship with the Essex Boys. There's only one of those guys alive right now. The rest of them are dead. Those guys was drug dealers in the UK. And apparently those were his peoples. So he's a cheater. Gerald McClellan will never be the same again. And years later, his son pops dirty. The apple don't fall far from the tree. So when I talk about how dirty this sport is, these are the things I'm talking about. I wouldn't be who I am if I didn't cover this, because I don't see anyone else doing it. They may. I don't watch anybody else. Well, that's not true. My LDBC brothers, you know, Champ Side, Sugar Free Moss, Coach Hudson. There are a few people that I do watch. Shout out to Aki TV. So I do these memes for a reason. I don't want you to forget, they tried to put Bud in the ring with this guy. If he didn't retire, they didn't say Charlos. They were past the Errol rematch. There was rumors about him going to fight Fundora, and then Errol jumped the line, but the PBC couldn't pay anybody. What I'm telling you is they were adamant of putting Bud in the ring with this guy. I remember that. It wasn't too long ago. And he's popping like popcorn. He had to try to cheat Iris Landry Lara. If he had fought Lara and beat him, he'd have been campaigning for that Bud Crawford fight. Would he have won? We don't know. But he'd have been juiced to the gills. He would have been juiced to the gills. And you guys make me sick. Whenever it's a black fighter and you find out that that black fighter was cheated, it goes from, never mind the guy cheating, why did the black fighter get hit upside his head like that? Oh, and it wasn't that much. It was only a little bit of whatever it was. Oh, it don't matter if the padding was removed from the glove, because he shouldn't have got hit anyway. Why do we have rules in place, ladies and gentlemen? And a lot of you raccoons, y'all do the devil's work. That's why I don't respect you. That's why I don't like you. You come around my chat, you get blocked. I don't want to talk to you. I hope you perish in a car fire, and I hope your family screams as you burn. Slow death. Don't like you. This sport is dangerous enough as it is. And in 2026, you still got clowns from overseas, by the way, that still conduct themselves in this behavior. I'm tired of you clowns blaming the victim. A year? Pfft, you're right. Get out of here. Bronx on deck. Move!